Move on to updates and user emails. So update your iPhone, iPad, and Mac now to patch these serious zero-day security flaws. Apple has rushed out emergency patches for iPhone, iPad, and Mac that squash a couple of serious security bugs. The two zero-day vulnerabilities may have already compromised Intel-based Macs in the wild, but the updates are designed for iPhones and iPads as well. Now, I did put a notification in the Telegram channel, in the Tech Only and the Quiet Room. So this is really important. Make sure you do update your Mac devices. Check, make sure, because these are zero-day, and zero-day basically means no one really knew about them until they were being used out in the wild, and they do say out in the wild. So please update your Macs. D-Link urges users to retire VPN routers impacted by unfixed RCE flaw. We've talked about this. This is probably the third or fourth time, and it was kind of a warning to all the D-Link users. But D-Link is warning customers to replace end-of-life VPN router models after a critical unauthenticated remote code execution vulnerability was discovered that is not fixed in these devices. Technical details have been withheld from the public to avoid triggering mass exploitation attempts in the wild. The vulnerability, which does not have a CVE assigned to it yet, impacts all hardware and firmware versions of DSR 150s, DSR 150N, and also DSR 250 and DSR 250N from firmware 3.13 to 3.17, blah, blah, blah. These VPN routers, popular in home offices and small business settings, were sold internationally and reached their end of service May 1st, 2024. That was, a while ago. So when it reaches end of service, end of life, it's time to update. Invest in yourself, keep yourself protected. D-Link has made it clear in the advisory that they will not be releasing a security update for these four models, recommending customers replace devices as soon as possible. Yeah, they're not going to update it because they already told you end of life was May 1st, 2024. So we're going to go on to scams, hacks, and breaches news. Oh, here we go. Fake Bitwarden ads on Facebook push info-stealing Chrome extension. Fake Bitwarden password manager advertisements on Facebook are pushing a malicious Google Chrome extension that collects and steals sensitive user data from browsers. Oh, here we go. It's been user base growing steadily in the past couple of years, especially following security breaches of competitors. That would be AKA LastPass. And 1Password had an issue too that led many to look for alternatives. The new malvertising campaign impersonating Bitwarden was spotted by Bitdefender Labs, whose researchers report that the operation launched November 3rd, 2024. So about 20 days ago. And the Facebook advertising campaign warns users that they're using an outdated version of Bitwarden and they need to update the program immediately to secure their passwords. Number one, I don't know of any ad that I've ever stumbled across that says, hey, you need to update your software. Typically that happens in the software itself. Or if you look in the store and it's like, oh, you use an outdated, or if you manually look with your eyes and say, oh, this is the version that I have, and this is the version from the website of the vendor, and this is the version that they have. Don't rely on any ads. We know ads are compromised all the time and phishing, and it's just getting scary out there. So phishing, speaking of phishing emails increasingly use SVG attachments to evade detection. This is a new one. Well, it's kind of been around, but it is being used more. Threat actors increasingly use scalable vector graphics, or SVG, attachments to display phishing forms to deploy malware while evading detection. Most images on the web are JPEG or PNG, which are made of grids of tiny squares called pixels. Each pixel has a specific color, value, and together these pixels form an entire image. SVG, or scalable vector graphics, displays images differently, as instead of using pixels, the images are created through lines, shapes, and text described in contextual mathematical formulas in the code. Now that's a big mouthful. You can look right here, but these are vector images. They automatically resize without losing any loss or image quality or the shape, making them ideal for use in browser applications that may have different resolutions. However, threat actors are increasingly using SVG files in their phishing campaigns, according to security researchers, who shared samples 1 and 2 below. These samples and others seen by Bleeping Computer illustrate how versatile SVG attachments can be and how they not only allow you to display graphics, but also can be used to display HTML using the foreign objects element and execute JavaScript when the graphic is loaded. What that basically means is that's a bad thing. This allows threat actors to create SVG attachments that not only display images, but also create phishing forms to steal credentials. As shown below, a recent SVG attachment displays a fake Excel spreadsheet with built-in login form. When that's submitted, sends the data to the threat actor. So you want to be careful what you're doing, please. Other SVG attachments used in recent campaigns pretend to be official documents or requests for more information, prompting you to click on a download button, which then downloads malicious malware from a remote site. So be careful what you're doing. And don't fall for this stuff. Fake AI video generators infect Windows and Mac OS with info stealers. Fake AI image and video generators infect Windows and Mac OS with Luma Stealer and Amos information stealing malware used to steal credentials and cryptocurrency wallets from infected devices. Luma Stealer is a Windows malware and Amos is for the Mac OS, but both steal cryptocurrency wallets and cookies, credentials, passwords, credit cards, and browsing history from Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Mozilla, and any other Chromium browser, and any other Chromium browser would be Brave. This data is collected into archive and sent back to the attacker, where they can use the information to further attacks or sell it in their cybercrime marketplace. Over the past month, threat actors have created fake websites that impersonate an AI video and image editor called Edit Pro. So be careful what you're downloading, be careful what you use. Make sure you look at reviews, see how many reviews are there, how many downloads. So it is a legitimate piece of software that you are putting onto your computer, because you just don't know what you don't know. And hopefully you do know what you don't know, but that's hard. Okay, we're going on to crypto news. So U.S. ETF inflows hit $4.7 billion over 6 days as Bitcoin becomes 7th largest asset in the world. This is a little bit old because we've almost hit 100,000. Today it's down into I think 96,000, but it's pretty incredible. And it's great to see that Bitcoin is the 7th largest. So the largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization has just become the 7th largest asset by market cap on the planet, taking over oil giant Saudi Aramco. Its dominance over the crypto industry set a high of 61.38%, and the price has hit a record of over 93,000 on Wednesday. Well, you can see how fast it's moved. It's gone way past 93, but welcome Bitcoin to the top 7, and it would be great to have it number 1, but we'll see how that comes out. Bitcoin ETF options attract $2 billion on day one, shifting BTC's market structure. IBIT options went live Tuesday in the first move that markets participants widely expected to draw more institutional interest in Bitcoin. In September, the U.S. SEC approved options for several of the 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs on several exchanges, and more option products are expected to be available in the coming days. Unwrapping options. Okay, so this is, if you held a big position of Bitcoin, you may want to protect your Bitcoin price by putting an option in. So if you wanted to go in and not have your Bitcoin drop, like it has in the past, where it, has gone down 80%, you could buy an option to protect that. So unwrapping options. Options are financial derivatives that provide the buyer the right but not the obligation to buy in the case of a call option or sell in the case of a put option. An underlying asset, the specific price on or before a specific date. A call option gives the holder the right to purchase an asset at a specific price, known as the strike price, within a set time frame. A put option gives the holder the right to sell the strike price within a specific period. Call options are purchased when expecting price increase increases if the correct trader can exercise the option to buy it at the strike price or sell it for profit. Put options serve as insurance against price drops or for betting on declines, enabling selling at the strike price if it exceeds the market value. So this is where institutions are definitely going to come in. They can protect their assets. Technology news. Well, it looks like warning hackers could take over your email account by stealing cookies, even if you have MFA. Now, isn't that kind of scary? The FBI issued warnings that cybercriminals are taking over email accounts via stolen session cookies, allowing them to bypass multi-factor authentication, or MFA, a user has set up. Remember, I said I was going to talk about MFA from months ago to the end of the year, and then even after that, because MFA is really important. Well, this is one place where putting MFA may not keep you safe. How it works. Most of us don't think twice about checking the Remember Me box when we are logged in. When you log in and the server has verified your authentication straight away or after using MFA, the server creates a session and generates a unique session ID. This session ID is stored in a session cookie, or as a Remember Me cookie, as the FBI calls it, on your browser, which is typically valid for 30 days. Every time you return to the website within that time frame, you don't need to log in. That's really convenient unless someone manages to steal the cookie from your system. So what that tells me is that little box that says, remember me for 30 days, you do not want to do that anymore because your session cookie could be held. Now, that's not for everything. If you have an exchange, if you have a bank account, something like that, you do not want to store that session cookie because your financial life could be destroyed because scammers are getting better at their craft. On very rare occasions, session cookies can be stolen by you visiting a malicious website or via machine in the middle or attacks where cybercriminals can intercept traffic and steal cookies if they're not protected by HTTPS on an unsecured network. However, session cookies are usually stolen by malware on your device. Modern information stealing malware is capable and even focuses on stealing session cookies as part of its activity. So, how can you prevent that? Well, here are a few things right here that we will go over right now. So, use a security software on every device you use. Keep your devices and software on them up to date so there aren't any known vulnerabilities on them. Decide whether you think it's worth using a Remember Me option. It is convenient, and is it worth the risk? That's what you're going to have to determine. Delete cookies, or even better, log out when you are done. That should also remove or invalidate the session ID from the server, so nobody can use it to log in, even if they have the session cookie. Only visit sites with a secure connection, HTTPS, to protect your data from being intercepted during transmission. I don't know really any websites that I visit on a regular basis that aren't HTTPS. For important accounts, regularly check the login history where you can see which device is logged in and where they were from. You should also be able to find this option in your account settings. So be careful when you're using Remember Me. Kept login. You can delete your cookies right now and start fresh. That may be the best thing to do. And important accounts, do not use the Remember Me. T-Mobile confirms it was hacked in a recent wave of telecom breaches. T-Mobile, once again, they seem to get broken into or breached all the time. But T-Mobile confirms it was hacked in a wave of recently reported telecom breaches conducted by Chinese threat actors to gain access to private communication, call records, and law enforcement information requests. T-Mobile is closely monitoring this industry-wide attack, and that at this time, T-Mobile systems and data have not been impacted in any significant way, and we have no evidence of impacts to customers' information, T-Mobile told the Wall Street Journal, which first reported about the breach. I mean, this is I don't know how many times this year T-Mobile has been been breached. But T-Mobile sharing a similar statement with Bleeping Computer, stating that it has found no evidence of any customer data being accessed or exfiltrated. Due to our security controls, network structure, and diligent monitoring and response, we have seen no significant impact to T-Mobile systems or data, T-Mobile told Bleeping Computer after publishing this story. Last month, the Wall Street Journal reported that Chinese state-sponsored threat actors known as Salt Typhoon had breached multiple U.S. telecommunication companies, including AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen. So, everybody's getting breached, and, well, I'm sure you were either part of the breach of Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. This one is also interesting and should be known because Black Friday is coming up in less than a week. But fraud networks use 4,700 fake shopping sites to steal credit cards. A financially motivated Chinese threat actor dubbed Silk Spectre is using thousands of fake online stores to steal the payment card details of online shoppers in the U.S. and Europe. The fraud campaign started back in October 2024, offering steep discounts for the upcoming Black Friday shopping period that usually sees elevated shopping activity. Silk Spectre operates 4,695 fraudulent domains. These sites impersonate well-known brands such as North Face, Bath Body Works, LL Bean, Wayfair, Mantika, IKEA, and Garnia. In many cases, the domain names used in the campaign include Black Friday string, clearly targeting online shoppers looking for fake discounts. Well, looking for discount deals, and it would be fake discounts. So if you're going to a website, I don't know if this is going to pop up. No, it's not. Make sure you're on the main website, and if it deviates off that domain, really verify that is a domain that you should be on. Most of the time, they may do a subdomain. So if it's North Face, it may be northface.com. They're not going to do blackfriday.northface.com because you know what? It's too hard to do that, and it doesn't make sense, and it should raise some red flags. So Brave on iOS adds new shred button to wipe site-specific data. Brave browser 1.71 for iOS introduces a new privacy-focused feature called Shred, which allows users to easily delete site-specific mobile browsing data. I use Brave on my mobile devices, and I don't use Safari, I don't use Chrome, I don't use others. I mean, I can use those, but my main is Brave. Many sites use first-party cookies for paywall systems and usage limits, which technically enables user tracking across sessions and makes the data susceptible to sharing with third parties. What that means is when you log into a website, other websites can see that, you have a cookie for that particular website. So that means you go to the bitcoinacademy.io or you go to paralogic.com. And then they will know that, you're visiting all these websites and they can gain more and more information about you. But Brave's new Shred feature works on a per site basis, meaning that it can wipe data from a single website without affecting others. So just know that if you have if you're using Brave, this option is available to you. The option can be invoked manually by long pressing the tabs button and selecting the option from the emerging menu or from within the Shields option. The feature can also be set to activate automatically on the active website via Shields Advanced Control Shred Site Data. Their users can set Shred to activate when a site or all its tabs is closed or when the browser restarts. To configure Shred functionality that applies to all sites, users can navigate to Settings, Shields and Privacy, and Auto Shred. So just be aware of that and use that feature if you think you want to. Google may soon let you create email aliases in an effort to fight spam. So, we have had that option on Simple Login. I have just about, every site has a different email address, any of the ones that I've been creating for the last 3 years, or it could be 4 years at this point. But now Google is allowing you to do that. Google also used to be able to do that. You'd add the plus sign, but they're doing things a little bit different. And it hasn't been officially announced, but people are finding it. But Google appears to be working on an email forwarding alias system. called Shield Email. The intent appears to be hiding your main email address from apps demanding one. If spam ever becomes a problem, you can just turn off the forwarding. And it's not available yet, but this is what people are seeing, and just be aware that hopefully we'll be seeing this from Google shortly. And Bitwarden switches password manager and SDK to GPL 3 after FOSS in this drama. And we covered this a while ago. It was people were afraid that Bitwarden was no longer going to be open source. They were going to do part of it closed source, but that doesn't seem to be the case because, of course, there was drama around it. Fear not, FOSS fans. Free and open source. Bitwarden isn't going proprietary after all. The company has changed its license terms once again, but this time it has switched the license of its software development kit from its own homegrown one to a version 3 of GPL instead. The move comes just weeks after reported that it wasn't strictly FOSS anymore. At that time, the company claimed that this was just a mistake and how it packaged up its software, saying on Twitter, "It seems like packaging bug was misunderstood and something more, and the team plans to resolve it." Bitwarden remains committed to the open source licensing model in place for years, along with retaining a fully featured free version for individual users. So if you were a Bitwarden user and you were worried that they were going proprietary, that doesn't seem the case. Whether or not that was true, or they just saw the backlash and they're like, oh, no, we can't have this backlash and we need to go back to open source. So I thought this one was really kind of interesting. There's not a lot you can do except for avoiding, but the open source project DFlock is mapping license plate surveillance cameras all over the world. And so there's license plate cameras, and you kind of see this here. They gather your license plate when you drive by. Why? Well, they want to know where everybody is. And I don't think it's okay, but there's not a lot you can do except for know where they are and avoid them. So as part of the story goes, so I moved to Alabama, and my way there, once I started getting into the South, I saw a ton of these black poles with creepy looking cameras and a solar panel on top, Freeman told me. I took pictures of it and ran it through Google, and it brought me to a Flock website. And then I knew, like, oh, that's a license plate reader. I started seeing them all over the place and realized that they were for the police. And I didn't like that. Flock is one of the largest vendors of automated license plate readers, or ALPRs, in the country. The company markets itself as having the goal to fully eliminate crime with the use of ALPRs, and that other connected surveillance cameras to a target expects that's going to be basically impossible. But this is just good to know. There is a, you can go to the website, DFlock, which is going to ask people to help them. If they spot a camera, they can add it to their map where you can see where the different cameras are. I don't want to click on that because it'll kind of show you where I am located. But if you have interest, go ahead and look and see. So everybody, thank you once again. I hope you have a great Turkey Day. Take care.